Alright, what's up, Dragon Brood? Today, we're going to be looking at day, 5 of previews for New Capenna, and I just took a quick glance to see how many cards there were, and it looks like this might be our biggest drop to date. So, we're going to try to go through these as fast as we can. Again, initial impressions, so I don't know what they're going to be yet, but there's a lot to cover, so let's get right into it, and we will race through this list. Alright, we're starting off with Revel Ruiner, 3 colorless and a black, 3/1, Cephalid Rogue. Kind of cool that there's more Cephalids in the set. This is like the third one I think that we've seen. It has Menace. When Revel Ruiner, man, this is going to be hard to say, enters the battlefield, it connives. Draw a card, then discard a card. If you discard a non-land card, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay. Yeah, this is fine. I think if you're playing a Connive heavy deck, obviously this is the thing you'll play, but this feels more like a limited card than a constructed card. Hypnotic Grifter, which has some pretty cool art going on there in the background. Human Rogue, 1/2. You can pay 3, and the Grifter connives. Huh. I kind of like it. It's simple. It does fit into the rogue decks. It can put stuff in your graveyard. We did see there was another rogue that wanted you to have a variety of things in your graveyard, so this could work with that. This could be a new sub-theme for rogues, possibly, so that's something to think about. But yeah, this one seems okay. I mean, it's a 1/2 for 1, so that's not bad. And this kind of where I give it, just a we'll see where it ends up. Echo Inspector, 3 colorless and a blue, also a weird name. 2/3 Bird Rogue, flying. When Echo Inspector enters the battlefield, it cannot. Okay, so here's the theme for the day. It's just all the connive cards, apparently. Yeah, again, this one's probably limited viable, not really standard viable. Even with connive, you're not going to want to pay 4 for a 2/3. There's just going to be better things you could be spending that mana on. But, you know, like I said, there are going to be some uses for this, just not in 60 card, I wouldn't imagine. More of this sweet throwback art, Corpse Appraiser. It's a blue, a black, and a red for a 3/3 Vampire Rogue. When Corpse Appraiser enters battlefield, exile up to 1 target creature card from a graveyard. If a card is put into exile this way, look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put one of those cards into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Okay, wow. Alright, there's a lot to absorb here. Alright, so when this enters battlefield, you can remove up to 1 creature card from a graveyard. If a card is put into exile that way, so if you've exiled a creature effectively, it's kind of weird wording, but I get it. Look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put one. Alright, so it's a 3/3 for 3. It comes into play. You can move a creature from a graveyard. Then you get to look at your top 3 and put one of those cards into your hand. That's mostly solid. I'm not sure how often we play this, but I will say if we're in a world where people are trying to play stuff out of the graveyard, having a thing that removes stuff from the graveyard is pretty sweet too. So yeah, this one's okay. This one I at least say is playable, assuming you have all the mana to make it work. I mean, a 3/3 for 3 is fine. It's a vampire and a rogue, so it fits 2 different creature types, potentially, deck types. So yeah, it's fine, if not grandly exciting. Topiary Stomper. It's a colorless green for a 4/4. Well, that's already exciting. Vigilance. When Topiary Stomper enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, put it on the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. Topiary Stomper can't attack or block unless you control 7 or more land. Okay, there's the catch. I was like reading through going, wait, it's a 3/3, it's a 4/4 for 3, and you can search for a land? Like, there's got to be something. Okay, this kind of makes sense. So, you've got a 4/4 for 3 with Vigilance, so it still can, well, it actually can't block either. So, it's interesting that this is a rare. It does help you get to 7 land faster. There's some worlds where if you're playing enough ramp, you can justify this card, but my problem would be, can we not just play something better with that mana when we're at that point? Because just playing this early doesn't really do anything since it can't attack or block. It's literally just a ramp spell for a land, a basic land at that, and it doesn't do anything for still 2 more turns at a minimum. So, I would like to think this is better than I think it is since I made it a rare. However, I think there's going to be a lot of people sad that they opened this as their rare. Cemetery Tampering, 2 colorless and a black. It's an enchantment. It has Hideaway 5. Hideaways, you get to look at that many cards, put that card under this, and then if you meet the requirement, you get to play that card for free. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill 3 cards. Then if there are 20 or more cards in your graveyard, you may play the exiled card without paying its cost. Ooh, actually, I kind of like this for reanimator type decks, right? Because think about this. You play this, you hide away, you put one of your big things you would reanimate anyway, right? Then you're just putting cards into your card every turn. Now, it says you may, so you don't even have to once you're beyond 20. But once you have 20 cards in your yard, then you're like, okay, cool. I get one of my big creatures for free anyway. And realistically, you could maybe do that in 5-ish turns, depending on what you have. So, maybe. Could still be really good, and it's even more impactful depending on what you have under there. And when you're hideaway 5, there's a good chance you hit something relevant. So, I think this card might be sneaky good. It might be better than you think at first glance. I love how all the blue cards in the set got all the not creepy, but just the like shady names. But this one is Security Bypass. Colorless and a blue. Aura, enchantment, enchant creature. As long as enchanted creature is attacking alone, it can't be blocked. Enchanted creature has, when this creature deals combat damage to a player, it connives. If connive is a big thing, this could be the type of card that works in that sort of deck. It does have to attack alone to be unblockable, but it can just be put on something that already flies or has menace or whatever else, and also happens to have the connive ability. So, this seems at least playable, but it's going to depend on if that's even a thing. Out of the way, 3 colorless and a blue, instant. This spell costs 2 less to cast if it targets a green permanent. Return target non-land permanent to its owners. Return target non-land permanent an opponent controls to its owner's hand, and you draw a card. Okay, this is a good sideboard card. I mean, we've had sort of things like this before, but this lets you bounce a thing and then draw a card. Nothing wrong with that. Not something, maybe you could play it main deck, and of course, obviously, if the format goes in a way that a particular color is in a lot of lists, obviously that makes sense. But this is actually just a good, useful card, so yeah. Probably not main deck playable, but in best of 3, this could definitely see some action. Toulouse, or Toulouse, however you say that. Clever Conductor, split Azorius. I don't even know how we decided we're ever going to classify and say this. But we have split Azorius mana, split Dimir mana, and a blue. So get your choice of 3 colors there. It's a legendary creature, human rogue. The character, when it enters the battlefield, it connives. And whenever you discard 1 or more cards, exile them from your graveyard. When this dies, put the cards exiled with it into their owner's hand. Okay, well this is pretty cool. So, you could end up with too many cards because you're not going to be able to play them all. But the things you discard now go into your hand whenever this creature dies. And it's a 3/1, so the odds are pretty high it's going to die somewhere along the way. This is kind of a cool card. Also, respect for a second. This is kind of some cool art too for this card. This is the alternate, whatever we're calling the skyscraper art, but really neat. All right, Illuminator Virtuoso, a colorless and a white for a 1/1 double strike. When the Virtuoso becomes a target of a spell you control, it connives. This is neat. Now, I don't know how much of a spot it has in a lot of lists right now, but I could see post-rotation this being part of some of the white aggro decks, especially if there's going to be a lot of things you can enchant it with different auras. That could also make it very good. And you're going to get your access to more cards because of connive, which is pretty neat. So, yeah, I think this has potential to be better in the future than it does right now. The Shakedown Heavy, which is hilarious. 2 colorless and a black for an Ogre Warrior Menace. It's a 6/4. Whenever Shakedown Heavy attacks, defending player may have you draw a card. If they do, you untap the Heavy and remove it from combat. Oh, now that's something. So you could pay 3 for a 6/4. And your opponent has to choose from either letting it attack as a 6, with menace by the way, or letting you have a card. And even then, you could still block with it. I don't know how good this card is, but it seems pretty strong. Now, here's the downside, right? Like, I'm tempted to say this is the type of card you've been looking for in the mono black aggro type decks, but you won't be doing damage with it most of the time because your opponent's just going to be making you untap it. But it is a steady source of cards just the same. And we just put out a Jund deck earlier today. Would that deck kind of want something like this? Especially since we could give it haste? And it's only 1 black in the cost? like, I think the answer is yes. Because at some point, we're just going to get more spells and more creatures or whatever that the opponent can't deal with. And when they all have haste, that actually works out well. This is another one of those cards. The more I think about it, I'm kind of talking myself into it a little bit. Don't know how good it really is, but I am feeling it a little bit. I think this might be better than, like, it's easy to look and go like, this might not be that good. But cards every turn, this might be one of the way. It's weird and it comes on a creature, but this could be a thing. All right, Psychic Pickpocket, 4 colorless and a blue for another Cephalid Rogue. 3/2, when it enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives this way, return up to 1 target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So it comes into play, it connives, and then you get to bounce a thing. Again, I think this is a limited card. 5 mana is a lot for that ability, but it's okay. For the decks that want it unlimited, they won't be too upset to have it. I believe the translation is on the Cleaner. This is 2 black, Death Touch. When another non-token creature you control dies, connive. When this card dies, return another target non-rogue creature card with less than or equal to the power of this card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Oh my goodness. Okay, so something else dies, you connive. So draw a card, discard a card. And if it's a non-land, you put a +1/+1 on this. And then when this dies, you get to return another non-rogue creature card with less than or equal to the power of this from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is alright. I don't mind that. Now, being mythic rare, I don't know. That feels a little bit much. But, man, I can see some uses for this, though. And there are some decks, again, where your other creatures die, you connive, you trigger all that stuff, and then, cool. Now you have this, like, maybe 6/6 creature. When this dies, you get to get damn near anything back from the graveyard that you put there. So, I kind of like it, but man, I'm not sure. Like, this is one of those cases where I have to wonder, like, why is this mythic? I think I'm pretty sure I'm missing something. But it's still not a bad card. I just don't know if it's mythic rare worthy card. Alright, Obscura Ascendancy, a white, a blue, and a black. Whenever you cast a spell, if its total mana is greater than or equal to the number of soul counters on Obscura Ascendancy, put a soul counter on it. Then create a 2/2 white spirit creature token with flying. As long as there are 5 or more counters on the Obscura Ascendancy, all spirits you control get +3/+3. Alright, this is neat. So to get 5 counters, though, you would need to play something up to a 5 mana. There's some ways you could do that. I think if you built around this with spirits being a thing, it's possible. But I think my problem is, the way I'm reading this, let's see, whenever you cast a spell, if its total mana value is greater than or equal to the number, put a counter on it and create it. Yeah, so it really, I mean, you're getting to build up spirits. And I guess in some ways, if you play this alongside stuff like Hallowed Haunting or whatever, your spirits get bigger for the number of spirits you control and all that. Yeah, I mean, this is playable and it's good. It just doesn't feel like it does a lot until you get to the 3/3 point. But again, I think if you make spirits your build, then you can go ahead and include this and I think you'll be fine. I don't know if this is good as the other ascendancies we've seen so far, but it's at least thought-provoking, and it's the type of card you can include in a fun build-around or theme deck. Alright, this is Queza, Augur of Agonies. Whenever you draw a card, target opponent loses a life and you gain a life. Well, that's simple. 1 colorless, blue, black, white, 3/4. Legendary creature. Oh no, it's not legendary actually. Oh yeah, legendary creature, Cephalid Advisor. So yeah. Yeah, this card's just solid. I mean, you draw a card, your opponent loses life. And again, we've seen all the stuff with connive so far. So yeah, this could be real problematic. Honestly, this is the type of card that you get into a little bit of a standstill and y'all are both at lower life. Like, this could just kill the opponent in one turn, depending on what triggers you have. So yeah, this will show up somewhere for sure. And then we have the Obscura Interceptor. 1 colorless, white, blue, black, 3/1 Cephalid Wizard. Flash, lifelink. Man, you're getting your money's worth for that 4 mana. When the Interceptor enters the battlefield, it connives. When it connives this way, return up to 1 target spell to its owner's hand. Okay. So it pseudo counters a spell and has lifelink and flash and is a 3/1. I like it. I don't think it's bad. The casting cost makes it a little bit restrictive for what you're trying to do. You know, leaving that mana up, kind of hoping you get to stop a spell from going off. It doesn't have flying, so even once it's in play, you can't really attack with it efficiently, being a 3/1, but you don't greatly care because you've already done what you wanted to do with it. This feels like the card that, like, I can't immediately think of where it goes, but on the other hand, I know it's going to be played. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know the vision of the build it's in just yet, but I know it's going to hit a build and be playable. That's kind of where I'm at on this one. All right, Public Enemy, 2 colorless and a blue. It's an enchantment aura. All creatures attack enchanted creature's controller if possible. When enchanted creature dies, you draw a card. Huh. So you put this on a creature, and then all the creatures have to attack that creature's controller if possible. Now they can also just block with this so it only happens once and then have it die. This is weird because you could put it on your own things to force your opponent to attack on their turn so they're not leaving stuff up. So it's kind of interesting. But it's a great commander card as well because you're just like, oh hey, everybody's got to attack this person. You know, like until this goes away, you each have to take your turns attacking this person. So this is, and could it really be used in just 1v1 to get your opponent to attack? Like, how often would that be relevant? Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to call this one good, but I at least like the potential applications of it. All right, Shattered Seraph. 4 colorless, white, blue, black. 4/4, flying. When it enters the battlefield, gain 3 life. Pay 2, exile Shattered Seraph from your hand. Target land gains tap to add white, blue, or black until this is cast from exile. You may cast it from exile. Wow, this is a weird card. Okay, so you can... I'm just trying to process this. Okay, so you can pay 2 to exile this, then give a land the ability to tap for one of those 3 colors. And then at any time, I guess, you can, in the future, you can cast the Seraph from exile. Huh, so it's like putting a creature on layaway? I mean, like, you pay for it, make it easy for your lands to cast it, and then you get it later. This is a weird design space, I'm not gonna lie, but it could be possible that some decks do just want to play this to make it easier to cast all their stuff. I could see that being a real thing. Or maybe you're even playing potentially a 5-color-ish deck or something, and maybe you want to give a land the ability to do whatever. That's possible. Yeah, I'm not sure what to think of this. This is so different. I think I'm gonna need to sit with this a little bit more and figure out what are the best uses for this. But it's a cool card. All right, we have Bomb Expertise, 2 colorless and a red. Instant. Players can't gain life this turn. Damage can't be prevented this turn. Deal 3 damage to any target. Yeah, this is solid. There will be some places for this to get played. It's not breaking any things. It deals 3 to any target, which means you can target the opponent. Yeah, this just seems like a solid card that red wants. All right, don't know what the name of this one is, but it's 2 colorless, red-green. When this card enters the battlefield, create 2 treasure tokens. Sacrifice a treasure. Create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. This is neat because you can play it in a deck with lots of treasure, and then just use your treasure to become 1/1s. You can also sacrifice this at any time, so it makes it a good post-sweeper play. Other than the fact that it costs 4 mana. That's the only holdup. It probably has to, in all reality, because of what it does. It's just a downside because there's some other quality things you want to play in the 4 slot if you are playing red and green. But this could be an actual real win condition. So yeah, neat card. Not dominant, I wouldn't say, but it does have a home in a few spots just as something to do with excess treasure. All right, we got Rooftop Nuisance. It's a 2 colorless and a blue sorcery. Casualty 1. You can sacrifice a thing that costs 1 or greater, power 1 or greater, to copy the spell. And then tap target creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. Draw a card. That's really all we can say. We get variations of this all the time, and they almost never get played. All right, we have an angel, Metropolis Angel. It's a 2 colorless, white, blue, flying. Whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures with counters on them, draw a card. For a 3/1. The 3/1 bothers me the most on this. Is like a 3/2, a 3/3 would have been better, but it is also an uncommon. So 3/1, flying for 4 mana, and then whenever you attack with 1 or more creatures with counters, draw a card. I'm good with that. I think this could be played. I just don't know if we're gonna want to spend 4 mana to do this. I think is where I'm held up. Like, I like everything about the card, but the actual casting. Casting costs in conjunction or compared to the power and toughness is where my holdup is. And then we have Depopulate. It's a 2 colors, white. Each player who controls a multicolored creature draws a card, then destroy all creatures. So, like, hey, you get a card. Now we lose all our things. It's kind of just a old school 4 mana Wrath of God, really, but just gives up potential cards. I dislike the fact that it's each player. I would rather it just be each opponent. Like, if you're playing this card, you're getting the benefit of wiping the board for some reason. So, but outside of that, I mean, people that wanted Wrath of God brought back. This is the next closest thing I guess we've had in a while. All right, this is just the Handsome Outlaw. 3 colorless, blue, black, red. When it enters the battlefield, deal 2 damage to each opponent and use Scry 2. And then you can pay 2 and exile that card from your hand. Target land gains tap for blue. Okay, so this is going to be a thing in every color. So same thing, you can pay 2, give a land the ability to tap for any of 3 colors this card makes. Comes into play, deals 2 damage to each opponent. You scry 2. It's a 4/5. You know, this actually feels kind of solid. Let's be honest. Like, it's not outstanding, but you're paying 6 mana for 4/5, but you also get to deal 2 when it comes to play, and you're scrying 2. So you're getting some extra value for that extra mana cost. And you just kind of have this creature, like we said earlier, on layaway, depending, late stages if you need this card. So again, I don't like it. It's kind of the same thing as the other, but I do feel that it's useful and will likely show up in some decks for sure. Ritual Groundbreaking. Colorless, green, white. And it looks like we might have found Cody's golden shovel. If you know, you know. This is an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has trample. You can equip a citizen for just 1, or equip a creature for 3. You know what? Anytime you get a bonus ability like trample or flying or whatever, it's at least enough to pay attention to. I don't know. Now, there are some cards that will be citizens that are not 1/1 tokens as well, and I think that makes a difference. So, I mean, we have a lot of other good equipment, which might be the main reason this doesn't get played. But I will say, if for some reason there are enough quality citizens worth playing, maybe you go ahead and play this. Y'all, it's like this list doesn't end. There were so many cards today, but we're almost there. Fire Discharger. It's a 1 colorless artifact equipment. Equipped creature has pay 1. This creature deals 1 damage to target blocking creature. Equip for 1. Not exciting. I mean, not a lot to say here. Limited play, again, this card actually has potential to be very good. But for 60 card formats, you're not going to want to spend the mana on this card, for sure. All right, Black Market Tycoon. A green and a red for a 2/2 cat rogue. At the beginning of your upkeep, Black Market Typhoon deals 2 damage to you for each treasure you control. But you can tap this and create a treasure token. Ooh, this is weird. Okay, at the beginning of your upkeep, Black Market deals 2 damage to you for each treasure you control. And you can create it. Wow, okay. So, this card can basically create an extra mana for you every turn. But if you don't spend it, you're going to get punished for not spending it. Oh, this is so wild. I don't know if I like this card. Like, it's a fine 2/2 for 2. Not exciting by any stretch, but fine. But the ability that you can just have a treasure every turn, especially, again, we just saw a card that you could sacrifice treasure to make 1/1s. And, we have other cards that care about you having treasure. And, like, maybe that's good enough? Like, I'm going to experiment with it. I think I'm going to put this into a few lists and experiment with it before I judge it. But I think this might be pretty good. All right, Hostile Takeover. 2 colorless, black, red, blue. I don't know why I can get that last color out. it's a sorcery. Up to one target creature has base power and toughness 1/1 until end of turn. And up to one other target creature has base power and toughness 4/4 until end of turn. Then this deals 3 damage to each creature. Oh, wild. Alright, so you can choose to make one creature a 1/1 and one creature a 4/4, or up to one of each. Then deal 3 damage to each creature. Wow, that's so strange. So you can shrink something down and possibly protect something, and then deal 3 to everything else. So you pretty much guarantee the creature you want to die dies. The creature you want to live lives, and then everything else takes 3. This feels pretty good. Is this the thing that black, red, or blue wants for 5 mana? I think that's my question here. Like, is this what we're doing? Because this is pretty cool. Like, looking at this card, like, the artwork here, pretty great. Yeah, is this what we're wanting to do for 5 mana? Because think about it. Like, we already have Meat Hook. We already have Burn Down the House. We've got, so, like, I feel like there has to be a particular reason we want this. And maybe there are. Maybe this allows you to play a sweeper in a creature deck and still protect the thing you want. I'm sure there's something there, but without more knowledge of the set, I don't think we're going to see much of this because we already have so many other sweeper options. Vampire Scrivener, 4 and a black for Vampire Warlock, 2/2, flying. Whenever you gain life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Whenever you lose life during your turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Generally, things like this don't work out. When they cost 5 and they start out as a 2/2, you just have to do so much work to make this into a sizable creature. I mean, if you had something like art, when it comes into play, you gain some life, but even then, you would need multiple triggers to make it worth it at 5 mana. So yeah, this one's probably just not that playable. Suspicious Bookcase, 2 colorless, 0/4. It's a artifact wall defender. Pay 3 and tap it. Target creature can't block this turn. Yeah. Again, limited fodder here. Useful in those formats. You're probably not going to see it anywhere else. Luxior, Giada's Gift. 1 colorless, legendary artifact equipment. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. Okay, that's pretty cool. Equipped permanent isn't a planeswalker and is a creature in addition to its other types. Loyalty abilities can still be activated. Okay. Equip a planeswalker for 1 colorless. Whoa, okay. Alright, we've got a lot to digest on this damn card. Alright, so first off, equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each counter on it. There's a lot of counters on a lot of cards right now. You also are basically, like, let's say in the Jund deck we put out today, the Jund modified deck, right? You're getting a +1/+1 for each +1/+1 card counter on it, potentially. So you're just doubling the size of a creature effectively in some cases. But you could also have like flying tokens and other stuff, right? Or even things like your adversaries get a token to be able to do their thing, right? So, that's a thing. And then you can enchant planeswalkers or equip planeswalkers. Now, I don't know why we get to equip planeswalkers for 1 and other creatures for 3. That part feels like it should be flip-flop, but whatever. That's neither here nor there. Being able to turn some of your planeswalkers into creatures, though, are very good. Though, it does mean now that they could be damaged. Planeswalker and creature in addition to its other types, +1/+1. Yeah, so I mean, I guess they could be damaged and die that way now? I'd have to check this out. I don't know what that means. Like, because they're a creature, they have to have a power and a toughness, but if they die, okay, yeah. Yeah, so many things with this card. There's a lot to process. Like, I actually like this card in some creature builds. Truthfully, this could be very good. But obviously, if you're playing a Super Friends thing deck or whatever now, you can actually play something like this and just use your planeswalkers as your kill card. So that's another thing. Wow, really damn cool card. There's like, you know, head explosions here going on with all the different things you could do with this. But oh boy, this one's gonna be something. I would not be surprised if this also ends up being a very expensive card for commander players or whatever. These type of weird cards tend to hold their value even when they're not hugely useful, because the places they are, they're really sought after. But I don't know, maybe this also becomes a thing in standard. It'll definitely be interesting to check out. But yeah, weird card, but very damn cool. Wow, that was a big chunk. That was like 30 some, 31, 32 cards, something like that. That is a bunch. That's like 10% of the set in one go. That's pretty cool. That was a lot of stuff. Lots of neat stuff in there too. Stuff to build around, stuff to enhance current decks, crazy new cards like that Luxior or whatever it is. So yeah, this was a good day for previews. Like lots of cool stuff. Let me know what you thought down in the comments. Like if there's something exciting here that you're looking forward to, is there something that really gets you going? Are there deck ideas you're kind of looking at already? I mean, it feels like there's just tons of stuff here in this pile. So I'm sure everybody's gonna have different opinions, probably disagree with 8 things I said in this video. Just so many cool cards. I don't know. Y'all let me know where you think this is going or what you're looking forward to, because this could just be really neat. Also, don't forget, you can support the channel down below. Like, subscribe, share, all that wonderful stuff. But that's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.